Rendering, in my personal opinion, is the best part of drawing. Like, it's the part where you get to add all the details, where you get to paint over everything, where you get to see your drawing just come together. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do that in two parts. The first part will be like really simple. It'll be small, quick, and you'll just get to see like the basics of how I do things. And then in the second part, you'll see it all come together in one big drawing. So I'm just going to draw this without any references because it's just supposed to be a quick demonstration of what I do. So I tend to start out with like a box or a circle. I know most people advise against boxes, but I really like just how easy it is to figure out where features go on a rectangle. They're just really quick to put down as well. With noses, I sketch out a diamond. Oh my days, this is going so fast. Calm down, nobody's taking the pen from you, damn. Anyway, so yeah, this is just supposed to be like a really quick drawing, so I'm not going too much into detail. You can still see how I structure the face. I put a lot of emphasis on the nose. You can see that there's like 2 lines for the bridge. You can put really any shape in there you want. With this kind of nose style, you can be really creative with it. The diamond around the outside is, I forgot the terminology, but it's where your nose just starts to go up, then the lines in the middle is the bridge, and then you can obviously see the 2 nostrils. I always tend to put my background color first before I add any other color. You can see me adding basic skin tone now. I use like a slight orange or reddened version of the skin tone for the blush, put lower opacity, and then I put that around the face, around just under the eyes, the ears, the nose, the lips, and then I take that color and then I add more opacity, make it a little bit more red, and then I put that right under the eyes and on the lips as well. The reason why I put a background color first is because it helps kind of figure out what value your skin tone is going to be and how its hue is going to correlate to the environment around it. When it comes to rendering, which I'm just starting now, as you can see on the bottom right, I've merged the layers, and then I usually start out with the eyes and I just refine the eyes. I go over them, make them better. I'm using the blush color, darkening it, and then turning that into my shadow. And I just put that on the key places, like under the brows, if you want a pronounced brow bone, around the top and bottom of the nose. Although for the top of the nose, it really, again, depends on the whole shape of the nose and the direction of your lighting. Whenever you're rendering, I always recommend putting a highlight in the corner of your eye because that helps add, it makes it look more finished even if you're not rendering it that much. It makes your eyes pop, it makes them look bigger, and in my opinion, I just like the way it looks. Like Arcade was onto something. Even if your character has light colored eyes, I always make the iris dark until I render it. I don't know why I do that, I just like it, and it helps add like depth to them when you do go back and add colour, which as you can see I've done there. I tend to add shine on the lips, on the eyes, and on the end of the nose, and sometimes on the cheekbones as well. I added them on the eyelids to make them pop more. I add 3 tones for the hair to start with. You've got your mid-tone. I always put everything, not just hair, everything's in a mid-tone. Okay, I don't know where the rest of that voice clip went, but I basically finish it off by adding what I call lazy highlights, which is when you just scribble where the hair is the highest, where the hair like bends towards the light. Except I'm not even at that part in the clip because I spoke too quickly. Seriously, once you cut out all of the ums and the heavy breathing, there's not actually that much. Basically, a lot of my rendering revolves around the forms of the face. You can see me accentuating just the planes. So if it would help having references that can show you like the 3-dimensionality, if that's even a word, of the face, that can really help improve it. I just add a basic shadow around the neck and the sides of the face, but you can see how it pronounces it a bit more. It makes it more, okay, yeah, thanks, pass me. Yeah, that's so helpful. Thank you so much. Yeah. That's it. That's it. It's that simple. And now we're gonna go into the big picture. So usually I use like a lot of references, but I didn't this time. So if I ever do make like a follow-up tutorial, or if I show a different process, I'll explain the references there. I tend to be quite messy with my sketches, so sometimes I make another layer to refine it. You don't have to do that, but it's advised if your initial sketch is really messy. I focus on shapes first, so lots of rectangles, loose lines, just trying to get the bulk of what I'm drawing down. It's great to get your mistakes fixed and figured out here, but it's also okay to then leave them and then go back later on and fix that when you're refining your sketch, or just fix it when you're painting over. because that's what we're doing. We are painting over stuff, so you can always fix your mistakes then. Like, don't be scared. I always sketch with a soft brush that has pressure-sensitive opacity. This means that certain lines in shaded areas will appear darker or lighter when colouring beneath them. It's also why I never use black when sketching, always a dark blue or red, usually red, because using black tends to muddy the colours up a bit. When I make large mistakes, I always use the lasso tool to erase whole areas before starting again, or simply just like moving it about. Flipping the camera, zooming in and out, taking a break are all really good ways to help you spot mistakes. Colours I choose, especially before rendering, tend to be less saturated. If you look at the colour wheel, you'll notice that the colours shy away from the points. That being said, you don't have to stick to that. If you are going for a more monochromatic palette or just an artwork that really, it's bright, it's vibrant, then, go for it. Like, there's no rules in art. I add the most pre-rendered detail to the skin. Even for vampiric characters, Kian Stone's not a vampire, but I add light blush and take that colour, darken it, and hue shift more towards red to get the lip colour. Now I start actually painting over the drawing with the eyes. Darken and reshape the eyelashes to add tone and form to the lids. Every eye shape has different shapes and colours, and with this one, because Kian Stone wears makeup, I added like red, almost eyelash spikes coming off his eyes. I always duplicate the rendering layers so that if I don't like the direction it's going, I can start over with ease. For the surrounding skin, I paint over with the skin tone but darker and shift it towards red for shadows, and the opposite way for highlights. A lot of my painting process is putting colours down, colour picking, adjusting that colour slightly, then painting it over with other colours. Right, off script now. The script was rubbish. You can see me struggling with the lips a lot here. I tend to repaint and repaint and repaint and repaint to get things right. It would have been so much smarter to have references, but I really couldn't be bothered gathering them because I couldn't be bothered finding the credits for them. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do it on my own. I think it's turned out okay. Some things that I've forgotten to mention is that with color and hue variation, you need to be smart with it. I've seen tutorials where people say, oh, I just pick random colors and I put random colors in the shadows. No, it's not random colors. Certain colors in the shadows, like you'll see if you have a warm brown shadow and then you put blue in the shadow to make it look better, that's called bounce light. That's light, blue light from somewhere, usually the sky, but it could be other things, bouncing off the ground, your clothing, and then hitting your face and hitting you in the shadow. I added blue highlights on Kian's skin here, not because it makes any sense, but because it's a complementary colour, because it's an opposite colour. So actually it's not a complementary colour, it's a contrasting colour. And I used the same blue highlight that's in the highlights of his eyes, the bluest parts of his eyes. I added that in the lightest parts of his skin, and later on I add it in the lightest parts of his hair. Because the colours, they go well together. Because when it comes to colouring, you kind of need to stick to a sort of 60-30-10 rule. 60, you have the most of your dominant colour. So in this painting, that's like the pinks, the oranges. Then 30, which is when you have a little bit less of that. I would say that would be the reds. The reds and the brightest of the pinks. And then 10, that would be the blues here. And that balance is what really helps make it a pleasing colour palette. You can see here that I'm going over the background because it was too similar to his hair colour. You need to be able to differentiate your character, your portrait from the background. If that is what you're going for, if you're going for a really painterly blending style, you can merge them a little bit, but I don't recommend it too much because you need to be careful with your edges. You don't want your character to get lost. You don't want things to get muddy. There isn't a whole lot more to explain, that's why I'm struggling a little bit. I use different brushes. For most of this painting, I used my textured brush here, I'm going to put on the screen. And then for the harder, rougher edges of detail, I added this tire track looking brush, and then I didn't actually use it here, but I have another rougher brush that I like to use for the more painterly type looks to make it look like I've used a really dry brush. But yeah, it's honestly, I'm running out of things to say because it's actually really easy. It's really easy, it's really simple. You may be looking at this and thinking, wow, this is really intimidating, but once you practice it a few times, once you give it a try, once the process starts clicking for you, of course I don't recommend copying me one-to-one. Merge what I've said here with your own process and see how you can make your work better. Here we are, we're in the final stretch now. Well, maybe not in the time-lapse. Time-lapse is a little bit behind. I'm a mega yapatron. I would like to apologize to all of the people on Twitter who have been waiting and waiting and waiting for months for this tutorial. I think it was like last summer that I said I'd do this, and a bunch of people were like, yeah, I'm so excited. And then like every 2 weeks I'd be like, guys, it's taken me a while. And it's literally just because I'm a procrastinator, because my laptop cannot handle like as much storage being taken up, and because I get nervous. Yeah, that's right. Did you know that the first voice clip, the introduction of this was attempt number 15? Ahaha. Ahaha. Oh look, we're done. We're done. I might make a separate video showing my other process because I've been trying out a new style where I draw Mr. Mumbo Jumbo as like a graphic poster because I think that guy is so cool. That guy is so inspiring. So I might show that as a separate process as well. I'm working on a couple animations right now. I have a goal for this year to make like 5 videos. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that, but I really do want to do that. Editing, voice recording, making videos, they're all skills that I'd really like to have and skills that I'd really like to develop. But you know, they'll all take time, they'll all take patience to learn, just like drawing, just like rendering. Aha, I wrapped it back around there. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hope this was helpful. Bye!